Hey, what's going on, everyone? So I had to get this update out. So we've made some pretty great changes to the bias matrix user interface. And so this is coming off the survey that we sent out a couple weeks ago. Everybody has sent an overwhelming response, which has been really great to see. We've gotten a lot of great feedback on the challenges that you have with the bias matrix and also the new features that you're looking forward to. And so we're definitely going to be working on all that. But I wanted to give a quick demo of what we've changed so far and kind of the rationale behind it. Um, but I guess before jumping into the change, as a reminder, the goal for the bias matrix is to really take the concept of interconnected markets and thinking about how overall indices, how the macro instruments, how equities, how different market sectors, and how VIX and volatility, how that all impacts individual futures instruments that you might trade. And so what we're trying to do is basically distill that all down into a single view to tell you, hey, this is what NQ says as far as bias, and here's all the reasons for that from an individual NQ instrument perspective. But then here's all the context from the market that is either supporting that or opposing that bias. And so that's essentially what we're trying to do and trying to give you that quick read right away. Main challenge that we wanted to solve with this new UX was we got feedback that the bias right now, the matrix right now has, as you're looking at it, it's just a lot of information to take in, and then you're not really sure how to leverage that to then take a trade. And so that's one of the key things that was driving the change. Other key thing is single stock futures as of I think July 27th will be out there, which means that we're going to be introducing 55 more instruments of single stock futures that you can trade alongside NQES and all the other equity based futures, right? And so we also needed to redesign a little bit to accommodate more instruments because right now I think we have 8, right? And like those are like the most commonly traded futures. And so we're trying to see how we can expand them. And so that's kind of the direction that we're taking this for this new design. And so definitely wanted to walk you through everything. But first, I'm showing the old design here, so you can kind of see we have the hero cards, which gives you price, the bias trend score. You get a quick AI read here, and you can flip it, right? And you can kind of see all the data that makes up that bias score, like the trends, the delta, and the flow. And so like for if you're only trading NQ, that's great. Like you have that single view, and you can kind of take that. We also have the AI brief, which has been out there, which had a lot of positive reception for that. So that's going to continue to stay. But it's just essentially kind of like how the read works, right? And so you can kind of, pick your instruments and all that, and then you can zoom into one, get more of the details, and kind of get more of the trends and stuff. Um, and the feedback is like this is all great, but it is still a lot of information, right? Like, what do you do with it? Like, how can you make this faster for decision making? And so that's essentially the thing that we tried to solve. And so I will turn off this feature flag here to put on the new experience. And so this is what's currently out there in production. Everybody has this new experience now. But what we did was basically, we want to be able to show you all the instruments at a glance, and you can quickly say, okay, what is the bias? So you have that column for bias, and then you can say, okay, for all the signals that we have, how many agree? So you think about the trends, the delta, the flow, think about, how long they've stayed in a certain direction and think about like how persistent they are, right? And so that gives you a view of like this bias trend has been holding across the board of all the signals and it's pretty strong, right? And then we also included market context. And so this is looking at indices, macro, top equity sectors, VIX, and showing you like how many of these different market factors or contexts are actually supporting the bias. And so in this case, it's a little bit mixed, which means that NQ here is very bearish, but the overall market is not very bearish, right? And so it's like NQ is basically leading that bearishness, which means it's not World War III, right? So that's a good thing. And then you also have the history, which is kind of the score histogram, which we had before, and then you also have the price. And so at a glance, now this becomes kind of your watch list that you can kind of look at and you can configure. And as you can imagine, as we introduce 20 to 50 more single stock futures, you can actually customize this list for you. And so at a glance, it's meant to give you that. Now you can switch between the different views here, like we have with the daily bias view, the intraday day trading view, and then the scalp view. So you can kind of see that. And we basically ranked the list based on the signal agreement. So you can look at, okay, if I want to look at trading, it's like, well, NQ seems like the strongest high conviction, right, on the bearish side. So you might want to pay attention to that, then gold and all that. And you can kind of see how that shifts. So that's really good. And then we have groups. Now as we introduce more symbols, you don't want a full list of like 50 some odd tickers to look at, right? And so you can create your own groups. Like I created one for NQ and ES, and so those are two the main ones that I like to follow. And so when you do that, now you can actually expand to all the views together. And so you can look at daily, the intraday, and the scalp all in one view. So you can kind of see for ES, we're slightly bearish on the daily, slightly bearish on intraday, and then on the scalp it's a little bit neutral. Market's closed right now, but as we're having real-time data, you can kind of get that read, and then you can get a sense of how many of the signals agree. Is the broader market context supporting you, and then you can kind of see the history of how that's played out over the day. So that's super cool. And then you can look at all the equity indexes if you want to. You can look at the metals if you want to, and you can add your own kind of groups here. So that's super exciting, which I'm really excited about that. Or you can just say, no, I want to look at everything again, and it'll kind of collapse down to a view that fits everything. And so that's meant to just give you a quick read, of what's going on so you can quickly make a decision. Now, let's say that's great and all, but I still want to get into the details. So you would just click. And so when you click, now this expands that hero card view that we had in the old experience. But instead of seeing them kind of separately, where you're looking at day trade, then you have to click to look at the intraday, then you got to click and look at the scalp, we're actually showing everything in one view to you. And so you can kind of see it across. It's like, well, very bearish on the daily view. And so you get more of the details as what's driving it. You get a summary of the AI read here. You can kind of see the score trends, everything here as far as the trends, the delta and flow. And then you can look at for the market context. It's like, okay, it's mixed because equities is supporting you, VIX is supporting you, but everything else is not supporting kind of that very bearish read, right? And so you can kind of see, it's like, well, like equity is definitely dragging us down, but like not everything else is falling over. So you can get that really quick, and then just like with the old experience, you can flip for the details for the AI read, and you can kind of see, okay, like what's going on for this time frame. And so hopefully that'll give you just a quicker read on the market overall, so you can take that bias and say, okay, this is the direction that I'm going to trade it and why. And then you get the AI reads and everything else. And so yeah, I mean that's pretty much the change. I'm really excited about it. It also has the mobile experience as well. And so I'll just shrink my window here to kind of show you that mobile experience. But so the mobile experience, you get all the kind of everything similar to what it was on the desktop, which is really good. You can kind of switch between the scalps and everything like that. And then when you click onto an instrument, you get your hero card, and then you can swipe right. I'm on my computer, but you can swipe right to see, okay, the list, right? And then you can tap, the different views. So you also want the trade view, I want the scalp view. You kind of go back there. You also get the signal agreements. You get the kind of market context. You get your AI read. And you kind of get all that in a really simple interface on mobile, which is really cool from a watch list perspective. So especially as we get more of the single stock futures in here, I think this is at a glance, you'll see what's going on. You can click in, see what's going on, make your decision if you have to hop back to your computer or not. As far as what's coming next, so we have AI trade ideas. So this was part of the survey feedback as well. A lot of people do want that, which is really cool. And so we've had this idea of levels, which we are working and we have that and we're tracking it. And that's going to feed into this AI trade idea experience. And so this is something that we actually have on a development environment. We're still working on it and we'll release that maybe in the next week or two. We are actively developing that, so I'm super excited about that. And another thing is we are going to ship indicators specifically for ATAS X, and then probably a Chrome extension for TradingView with the ability to grab an API key and get access to all of this great data. And so we're working through that and what that looks like. We'll probably support other platforms in the future, but definitely ATAS will be our first, and then we'll move on to TradingView as well. And so really excited to kind of share all that. And then I guess one other thing we have been making, and you probably noticed already, but on the AI brief, we've kind of streamlined it a little bit, and tried to make it a little bit more structured in how you're looking at it. So you got your overall, trying to have very quick bullet points, so it's not too much to read. Give you your quick bullet points on the calendar, but then you can also expand to show more of the events. Give you a quick read on all the news events that are coming, but you can also expand, and then you can kind of get into the individual tickers from there, which is really good, based on what your choice is. And then we also have everything else, so we've kind of expand that down so it's easier to kind of digest. And if you want to, you can just kind of look at the bullets for each one of those. So yeah, that's what we got. Super excited to kind of keep building on this. Really excited about all the new folks who have joined and are trying it out. And thank you so much for all the feedback. Uh, I guess now that we've had this out there, I would love more feedback on if this is making it easier for you to use, and if there's any other changes that we can make to the experience to make this kind of like your landing point when it comes to, starting the day, looking for the bias, and kind of taking that into your trading decisions. And yeah, if you want to send us feedback, just kind of click this button to help us improve. Send us your feedback, your feature requests, and we're going to continue building on this. Awesome. Well, thanks for your time. Good luck, and don't get caught. Thank you.